The Good Life was one of Britain's most cherished sitcoms, capturing the hearts of audiences with its humor, charm, and unforgettable characters. While the show remains a beloved classic, many of the talented actors who brought it to life are no longer with us. In this video, we pay tribute to 36 actors from The Good Life who have tragically passed away. Some were taken too soon, while others faced long battles with illness or personal hardships. Join us as we remember their lives, their careers, and the legacy they left behind in British television history. Richard Briers played Tom Good in The Good Life, 1975, at the age of 41, portraying an idealistic man who abandons the corporate world to pursue self-sufficiency. Tom is full of optimism and resilience, always believing that hard work and determination can overcome any obstacle. However, in reality, Briers' own life was far from idyllic. A respected actor with a long career in television and theater, he struggled with typecasting, finding it difficult to escape the shadow of his most famous role. His personal life, though outwardly stable with his marriage to actress Anne Davies, was marked by deep sadness. His only daughter, Lucy, developed a chronic illness that left him feeling helpless. His health rapidly declined due to a lifelong smoking habit, leading to severe emphysema. In his final years, he was unable to breathe without assistance, trapped in his own body as his lungs failed him. He passed away on February 17, 2013, at the age of 79. Charmian May played Mrs. Weaver in The Good Life, 1976, at the age of 39, bringing a formidable presence to the screen with her stern yet dignified portrayal. In reality, May's life was one of quiet loneliness. Despite a successful career in British television, she never found lasting personal happiness. She never married, and her closest relationships often ended in heartbreak, leaving her to spend her later years in near isolation. Though she found solace in her work, the absence of a family haunted her, especially as she watched friends and colleagues build lives beyond the industry. As age crept upon her, her body betrayed her, cancer took hold, draining her strength and leaving her unable to perform the one thing that had given her life meaning. As her illness progressed, she withdrew completely, refusing visitors, unwilling to be seen as weak. She passed away on October 24, 2002, at the age of 65, slipping away in the sterile quiet of a hospital room. Paul Eddington played Jerry Ledbetter in The Good Life, 1975, at the age of 48, embodying the affable yet skeptical neighbor who often questioned Tom's choices. Jerry was a man of stability, yet Eddington's own life was riddled with silent suffering. Behind his polished performances, he battled a life-threatening form of skin cancer, first diagnosed in the 1970s, which he kept hidden from the public for years. His marriage to Patricia Scott was one of endurance rather than romance, as his prolonged illness placed immense strain on their relationship. The couple had 4 children, but Eddington, preoccupied with work and illness, remained emotionally distant. As his cancer spread, his body weakened, and diabetes further drained his strength. By the early 1990s, his once expressive face was ravaged by surgeries, leaving him unrecognizable to those who had admired him. He continued working despite agonizing pain, refusing to let illness strip him of his dignity. On November 4, 1995, he succumbed to his long battle at the age of 68. Moira Fraser played Felicity in The Good Life, 1975, at the age of 52, bringing grace and wit to the show. A talented actress and dancer, Fraser's early career was promising, but personal misfortunes cast long shadows over her success. She fell deeply in love with musician Benjamin Frankel, a relationship that brought her both joy and devastation. Frankel, though brilliant, was emotionally distant, and their relationship was marred by unfulfilled promises. When he passed away, she was left with nothing but the echoes of what could have been. She married stage director Basil Hoskins, but it was a union built more on companionship than passion. They had no children, leaving her later years empty of familial comfort. As she aged, her health deteriorated, and dementia slowly stripped her of the memories she had cherished. She passed away on December 13, 2009, at the age of 86, her final days spent in a haze of forgotten dreams and fading light. Tony Selby played Sam in The Good Life, 1975, at the age of 37, providing a grounded presence in the show. Unlike his character, Selby's life was chaotic and riddled with hardship. His career was defined by fleeting success, with periods of work interspersed with long stretches of unemployment that left him financially unstable. His personal life fared no better. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce, and estrangement from his children left a wound he could never mend. He found some comfort in a second marriage, but his past mistakes weighed heavily on him. As he aged, his health began to fail, and when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, he was among its many casualties. His weakened body could not withstand the virus, and he passed away on September 5, 2021, at the age of 83, alone in a hospital bed, his life's work reduced to mere footnotes in the history of British television. Timothy Bateson played Arthur Bailey, introduced in 1976. He began filming at the age of 50. Arthur Bailey was a charming and good-natured character, bringing a sense of levity to the series with his warm, comedic presence. Bateson's career, however, was one of frustration. Though he was a talented character actor, he never reached the heights of fame he had once dreamed of. His filmography was extensive, yet he was forever stuck in minor roles, his face familiar but his name forgotten. His personal life was marked by a deep loneliness. He never married, finding himself unable to balance relationships with the instability of his career. As he aged, the roles dried up, leaving him financially insecure. He lived in a small, cluttered flat, his only companions a handful of old scripts and fading photographs of better times. In his final years, he developed dementia, his memories slipping away, leaving him lost in a haze of forgotten lines and faces. On September 15, 2009, he died at the age of 83. Wolfe Morris portrayed Michelangelo Lombardi, starting in 1975 at the age of 50. Michelangelo Lombardi was an eccentric and deeply passionate artist, embodying an almost tragic idealism that often left him misunderstood by those around him. Wolfe Morris had a long and prolific career, but despite his talent, he struggled with typecasting, often relegated to minor roles that failed to showcase his full potential. His career was a constant battle against obscurity, with many of his most powerful performances fading into forgotten corners of television history. He married young, but his marriage crumbled under the weight of his dedication to his craft. His wife left him, taking their only child, a daughter he rarely saw. In his later years, he battled severe depression, compounded by a declining state of health. On July 21, 1996, he passed away at the age of 71, his death attributed to years of silent suffering and gradual decline. Michael Robbins portrayed Mr. Bulstrode, starting in 1976 at the age of 46. Mr. Bulstrode was a no-nonsense, often intimidating figure, a stark contrast to the warmth and humor found elsewhere in the show. Robbins was a well-known actor, but his career was marred by frustration and disillusionment. Though he gained fame through television, he resented the limitations it placed on him, longing for more serious, dramatic roles that never materialized. His personal life was riddled with strife. His marriage, initially full of promise, became strained by financial pressures and his increasing bitterness over his stalled career. His wife, exhausted by his mood swings, eventually left him, and their children grew distant. In the late 1980s, Robbins was diagnosed with prostate cancer, but he kept it private, refusing to burden others with his suffering. As his health deteriorated, he withdrew from public life, spending his final years in quiet isolation. On December 11, 1992, he passed away at the age of 62. James Cossins played the magistrate, introduced in 1976. He began filming at the age of 43. The magistrate was a severe, disciplined character, embodying a rigid moral authority that often clashed with the free-spirited nature of others. Cossins' career was one of near misses, always on the brink of something greater, but never quite breaking through. He worked steadily, yet he never achieved lasting recognition, his performances often overshadowed by bigger names. His personal life was filled with disappointment. He married late, but the union was short-lived, his wife unable to cope with his frequent absences and unrelenting dedication to his work. He never had children, and in his later years, he was plagued by regret over a life spent chasing a dream that never fully materialized. In the 1990s, his health began to fail, and he suffered multiple heart attacks. The once dignified, sharp-witted man became frail and dependent on caregivers. On February 12, 1997, he died at the age of 63 due to heart disease. Frank Gatliff played Mr. Squires, introduced in 1975 at the age of 48. As a rigid, no-nonsense character, Mr. Squires brought a sense of gravitas to the good life, acting as a stern counterbalance to the comedic antics of the show. Gatliff, however, never found the recognition he deserved in his career. Though he appeared in numerous British television dramas, he was perpetually typecast in minor roles, always just shy of stardom. His personal life mirrored his professional frustrations. He married young, but his wife left him for another man, taking their only daughter with her. Gatliff never remarried, living out his days in a small flat filled with old scripts and forgotten dreams. His final years were marked by deteriorating health. Heavy smoking led to severe emphysema, and his eyesight failed. He became reclusive, surviving on a meager pension and visits from distant friends who pitied his fate. On June 23, 1990, at the age of 62, he suffered a fatal heart attack alone in his home. Noel Howlett portrayed Mr. Wackley, starting in 1976 at the age of 74. Mr. Wackley was the wise, elderly figure of the series, offering insight and stability amidst the chaos. Howlett had a long career in acting, spanning decades, yet he was rarely in the spotlight. Though he appeared in numerous films and television shows, he was forever typecast as the aging, inconsequential figure, a role he came to resent. His personal life was equally disappointing. He married out of obligation rather than love, and his marriage was one of quiet indifference rather than passion. His wife passed away before him, leaving him truly alone in his final years. As his health declined, he withdrew from public life, spending his last days in a small nursing home, his presence barely acknowledged. On October 26, 1984, he died at the age of 81, his passing barely a footnote in the industry he had devoted his life to. George Cole portrayed Mr. Downs, the bank manager, starting in 1978 at the age of 53. As the pragmatic and no-nonsense financial figure in The Good Life, Mr. Downs represented the world of structured capitalism, often clashing with the show's free-spirited protagonists. Cole, who had been a beloved television presence for decades, was best known for his long-running role as Arthur Daly in Minder. Yet, behind his affable screen persona lay years of struggle. Though he found love with actress Eileen Moore, their marriage ended bitterly in divorce, leaving him estranged from his children for years. His second marriage to Penny Morell was more stable, but his deep-seated insecurities never left him. As his career declined in the 1990s, Cole suffered financial troubles, made worse by failed investments and an unscrupulous accountant who drained his savings. In his later years, dementia crept in, erasing the memories of a career that once defined him. He passed away on August 5, 2015, at the age of 90. Angela Thorne played Lady Georgette George Truscott, introduced in 1977 at the age of 38, bringing to life an aristocratic woman whose refined manners and regal air often contrasted with the more modest lifestyle of the main characters. Thorne's acting career was steady, with notable roles in To the Manor Born and Elizabeth R. She married theater actor Peter Penry Jones, and they had 2 sons, Rupert and Justin, but their relationship was strained by his long absences and rumored affairs. Angela, for all her grace on screen, spent years trapped in a cold marriage, desperately trying to maintain a facade of happiness. She suffered in silence, turning to alcohol in private moments of despair. By the 2000s, she had developed severe health problems, including chronic arthritis that left her in constant pain. The loneliness of her later years only deepened her struggles, and as her memory faded, she withdrew from public life entirely. Angela Thorne passed away on June 16, 2023, at the age of 84. John Scott Martin played the waiter in The Good Life in 1975, beginning filming at the age of 49. The waiter, though a minor character, brought a whimsical touch to the series, his eager yet bumbling service adding humor to even the most mundane moments. Beyond The Good Life, Martin carved out a long but unremarkable career, mostly hidden behind heavy costumes in Doctor Who, where he spent decades playing Daleks and other creatures. His marriage to a fellow performer crumbled under the weight of financial instability, leaving him alone in a small London flat, estranged from his only daughter, Eleanor, who resented his absence in her childhood. As he aged, his once lively performances became hindered by the relentless grip of Parkinson's disease, which robbed him of movement, speech, and, eventually, dignity. His final years were spent in a care home, staring blankly at a television playing old shows he barely remembered being in. He passed away on January 6, 2009, at the age of 82. Philip Madoc played Mr. Snetterton, introduced in 1977 at the age of 43. His character, sharp and intelligent, brought a certain wit to The Good Life, but Madoc himself was a man tormented by inner demons. A classically trained actor, he had built a career on powerful stage and television performances, yet true stardom always eluded him. Despite his professional accomplishments, his personal life was riddled with turmoil. His marriage to actress Ruth Madoc ended in bitter divorce, leaving him estranged from his children. He suffered from severe bouts of depression, worsened by his increasing isolation. In his later years, he was diagnosed with cancer, a disease that slowly drained the energy from the once charismatic performer. His final months were spent in quiet agony, unable to work, unable to find solace in the career he had once loved. He passed away on March 5, 2012, at the age of 77, his body worn down by illness and regret. Harry Goodier portrayed Harry in The Good Life in 1975, beginning filming at the age of 50. His character was friendly and good-natured, a man always willing to lend a helping hand. He spent his life typecast in minor roles, never breaking out of the cycle of playing nameless, forgettable characters. His financial struggles were relentless, forcing him to take on odd jobs between acting gigs, bartender, taxi driver, even janitor. He married a woman named Linda in his mid-30s, but their union quickly soured, plagued by infidelity and resentment. They had a daughter, Joanna, but she grew up in a fractured home, witnessing violent arguments that left her deeply scarred. Goodier turned to gambling as an escape, only to fall into crippling debt that would haunt him for decades. In his later years, he suffered from chronic illness, a combination of diabetes and heart disease that left him frail and dependent on government assistance. On September 30, 2005, at the age of 80, he died alone in a hospital bed. Bruce Bould played Guy in The Good Life in 1975 at 26, bringing youthful energy and humor to the show. Though his early career seemed promising, the years were not kind to him. Struggling to transition from supporting roles to leading man status, he found himself stuck in minor television appearances, watching as younger actors took the roles he once aspired to. His personal life mirrored his professional struggles, his marriage crumbled under financial stress, leaving him alone and estranged from his daughter. As he aged, Diabetes and heart disease took their toll, and he lived out his later years in a small, quiet flat, surviving on a modest pension. Once surrounded by the laughter of audiences, he now spent his days in silence, reminiscing about a career that never quite reached its potential. He passed away on May 15, 2023, at 73, his death barely making the news, a tragic reminder of how fleeting fame can be. Queen Elizabeth II appeared as herself in The Good Life in 1978, beginning filming at the age of 52. Her presence brought a sense of grandeur and history to the show, her brief appearance making the cast feel momentarily elevated. But despite her position as one of the most powerful women in the world, her life was not without its tragedies. Burdened by duty from an early age, she sacrificed personal happiness for the sake of the monarchy, living a life dictated by protocol and obligation. Her marriage to Prince Philip, though enduring, was not without its difficulties, long separations, rumored infidelities, and the immense pressures of royal life took their toll. She outlived many of her closest family members, including her beloved husband and sister, leaving her increasingly isolated in her later years. In her final years, she was plagued by frailty, the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. On September 8, 2022, at the age of 96, she passed away, bringing an end to an era. Jago portrayed the Doctor in The Good Life in 1975 at 47, bringing warmth and intelligence to her role. Off-screen, however, her life was one of silent disappointments. Originally a promising stage actress, she had moved to television with hopes of a long and successful career, but the industry was unkind to aging women. As roles diminished, so did her financial security, forcing her to take small, forgettable parts just to make ends meet. She never married, and her friendships faded over time, leaving her largely alone. In her later years, she suffered from painful arthritis, making mobility difficult, and her eyesight deteriorated, making everyday tasks a struggle. By the time she passed away on July 29, 2010, at the age of 82, she had become a distant memory in the entertainment world, her death acknowledged only in passing by a few dedicated fans. Reginald Marsh played Sir Andrew in The Good Life in 1975 at the age of 49, bringing to life a stiff, aristocratic figure who added an air of formal authority to the series. In reality, his own life was far from distinguished. Though a familiar face in British television, he struggled to break free from typecast roles, never achieving the critical acclaim he desired. His personal life was equally unfulfilling, his marriage was strained, and he and his wife lived more like acquaintances than partners. As work offers dwindled, he turned to alcohol to cope, retreating from social life as depression took hold. His later years were marked by financial troubles, ill health, and increasing loneliness, spending his final days in a near-empty flat, estranged from old friends and forgotten by the industry he once gave his life to. He died on February 9, 2001, at the age of 74, his passing barely noted in the press, a quiet and tragic end to a long but unsatisfying career. Prince Philip appeared as himself in The Good Life in 1978, starting filming at the age of 57. His presence brought a regal charm to the show, reinforcing his reputation as a charismatic yet enigmatic royal. Though admired for his unwavering support of Queen Elizabeth II, his personal life was filled with emotional restraint and unspoken sorrow. His childhood was deeply unsettling, his mother was institutionalized for schizophrenia, his father abandoned the family, and he was sent away to various schools, never truly belonging. His marriage, though enduring, was marked by personal sacrifices, unconfirmed affairs, and the immense pressure of royal duty. The tragic unraveling of his children's marriages, particularly Princess Diana's fate, weighed heavily on him in his later years. Increasingly frail, he withdrew from public life, enduring multiple hospitalizations. He passed away on April 9, 2021, at 99, reportedly in his sleep. Paul McDowell played the telephone engineer in 1975 at the age of 43, bringing a competent and helpful presence to the screen. Off-camera, his career was plagued by missed chances and fading stardom. Originally a jazz musician and comedian, he had a promising start but found himself trapped in minor television roles. His first marriage ended bitterly when his wife, frustrated by his lack of stability, left with their young son. His second marriage, to an aspiring actress, was equally disastrous. They fought over money, and she eventually walked away. Estranged from his only child, Paul lived in increasing solitude, relying on sporadic acting gigs to stay afloat. In his later years, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which robbed him of his ability to perform. Forgotten by most, he spent his final years in a care facility, with few visitors. He passed away on May 2, 2016, at the age of 84, his death barely making the news. Ray Dunbobbin portrayed the postman in 1976, stepping into the role at 45. A jovial and dependable character on screen, Dunbobbin was privately a man of quiet sorrow. His career had been filled with near misses, always a supporting player, never a star, often losing roles to more charismatic actors. His frustrations carried over into his personal life, where his marriage to childhood sweetheart Edna slowly disintegrated under the weight of his unrealized dreams. They had no children, and as Dunbobbin aged, he was plagued by the regret of not having a family to leave behind. Financially unstable, he relied on state benefits in his later years, making sporadic appearances in local theater productions more for a sense of purpose than for income. In 2002, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, a consequence of decades of heavy smoking, and spent his final years in a hospice, where he was visited by few. He passed away in August 1998, at the age of 69, the industry barely acknowledging his death. Pamela Manson played Molly in 1975, joining the show at 47. Her character was warm and caring, offering support to those around her, something Manson herself rarely received in her personal life. Once a promising stage actress, she found herself typecast into maternal roles, a bitter pill to swallow for a woman who had long dreamed of playing leads. Her marriage to writer Henry Manson was one of obligation rather than passion, and their relationship was strained by resentment and unspoken disappointments. They had 2 children, Susan and Peter, both of whom distanced themselves from her as they grew older, tired of their mother's melancholic nature. In her final decade, she suffered from progressive dementia, which cruelly stole the memories of a life already filled with regret. Once she could no longer remember her lines, work became impossible, and she lived in near poverty, relying on the charity of old colleagues. She passed away on March 19, 1988, at the age of 59, from complications related to Alzheimer's. Who's your favorite character in The Good Life? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.